Welcome everyone, I am Alana.
And I'm Lady.
And this is Spookery.
Hell yeah, it is.
Alrighty, welcome back, our lovely guests. It is time for another weekly episode of Spookery.
And it is. It's Spookery.
This right here, guys, this episode, this is officially our halfway point through our very first season.
Is it? Oh my god, it is, isn't it?
It does. This episode marks a halfway point, and I just gotta say, you know, I've been having a blast so far. Have you?
Yeah. I have.
No, you had me there. I was like, oh gosh.
I've been having such a good time. I feel like I hogged half of the first half. Does that make sense? I hogged it with my 3-part thing, so I'm really happy to hand the mic back over to you and be like, tell me a story, please.
Oh my gosh, not at all. Bonnie and Clyde was such a wild ride, and I was happy to go on it with you. And I think this week it's a good transition because instead of, you know, something serious, we are just talking about a silly little story where there's literally not based in any reality whatsoever. We literally just get to laugh and share some spooky stories together. So it's going to be a good time.
Love it. I'm so excited. It's Cryptids and Folklore BB. I don't know anything about cryptids. I'm excited. You're going to tell me a slice of home, desert, love, lifestyle, something. You can tell I'm a little slap happy. I don't think I've quite recovered from Bonnie and Clyde.
That's all right. This is a good episode to get all that slap happiness out and get us, you know, just get us refreshed. I really think this is going to be a good episode. I'm very excited to tell this to you.
Oh, I don't think you've had a bad episode yet, ma'am. So I'm so excited for just to hit us another home run right out the park. Let's heckin' go.
Right, let's go. So, real quick, I did want to say, if, you know, listeners, if you guys have listened to any of our previous episodes and have come back for more, you know, Lady and I, we got to say thank you for real. Like, this is genuinely a passion project for both of us that we have put so much love into. And if you are getting any enjoyment at all from this, it's considered a win-win. So, thank you for listening. Seriously.
Yeah, no, thank you for listening. Thank you for loving the Spookery as much as we do. Like, Alana, perfectly, it is a passion project, and we're so passionate about it, and I'm really glad that you guys have come on this journey with us. I hope you're enjoying the story so far, and I love you. I'm thankful to you. I love you, Alana. Thank you for coming with me on this journey.
I love you, Lady. And I also did want to take this moment as well because we also have been getting a lot of love from one particular individual. And I feel like we should just give him a little bit of a big shout out right now and just say thank you for not only listening, but this man takes the time to write us a personal email after every episode. Just gives us his thoughts. He has even gone so far as to make us our very first fan art of the podcast that I hope maybe with his consent we will get to share with you one day. But yeah, Sai is just such an amazing person, and I feel like taking a moment to just say thank you, Sai. I know you're probably listening to this, and so just thank you for just everything you do.
No, Sai, thank you so much. We actually reread your emails together just to make sure that we're both like, we both know that you've sent us, like, and they're full of love, and they're so well thought out, and they do just give us like the goofiest smile when we read them. So thank you so much from the bottom of my cold dead heart. Thank you for listening to the Spookery. Thank you for coming on this journey with me and Alana. We appreciate you so much.
Absolutely, 10 out of 10. Couldn't have said it better, man. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so back to our episode, mushy gushy stuff aside, back to the spooky.
Yes.
This week, it is my turn to tell you a tale. Haha, no pun intended. You'll see.
Okay. Is that also a pun? Does it have multiple eyes as well as a tail?
Maybe. As you all remember from my last spin, I was so graciously gifted by the Spookery spirits and given the topic of cryptids and folklore.
Yes, we know who the favorite of the Spookery spirits is. Thanks,
I know.
Spookery Wheel, for my mass murder. It's going great, by the way. Thank you.
Next season will be good for you. This is my season. Season 1 is my season. Spookery spirits are like, Alana, girl, get us off right. Here's what you asked for.
They're like, lady, you need to cut down your episode length. Like 6 hours was too much, so you have to suffer more. And I'm like, that's fair. Thanks, fair. Spookery spirits.
That's so funny. Oh man, no, I have truly enjoyed your episodes. I think you've been getting great categories too. Any of the categories that we have, they're all great ones, to be honest.
I do. I agree. I don't think we've had a bad category. I'm just salty because I wanted something soft.
I get that. Yeah, when you like have something particular in mind.
But anywho,
yes.
Let's get this beautiful cryptid folklore adventure going.
Yes. So let's give you a little bit of background. So this is a pretty personal story to me. I personally grew up with a parent who just loved horror, creepy creatures, and all things that go bump in the night. So the minute I got this category, it felt like home. I was ready to go. I knew exactly what I was going to do for this. Growing up, I remember watching all sorts of shows, documentaries on like late night TV on like the History Channel about things like the Mothman, the Chupacabra, the Jersey Devil, all the classics. And we even had our own personal cryptids growing up. Like my dad made up this like sewer monster that lived in our backyard, and he would tell us that if we stuck our fingers in the holes around the pools, the sewer monster would gobble them up. So like I remember like even as a young kid, like my dad was like in a way trying to, like that's how kids learn lessons, right? Is through like scary stories sometimes. So
sure.
you make a scary story. It says, don't do this or else this monster is going to get you. And you go, okay, you're right, sir. I'm not going to do that thing anymore. So it worked. And we did not stick our fingers in the holes around the pool. So it worked.
And you missed out on all that gold treasure hidden inside the pool. If only you'd known.
If only I had just adventured and been adventurous. Oh, man. But right, I think everyone's parents did that when they were growing up. So that's not too weird, right?
Well, I can't say that my parents told me that there was a swamp monster in any pool that I visited, but I was also kind of dumb, and I think I would have done it anyway. I'd be like, can I be friends with the swamp monster? I can stick my finger in and just do it anyway, and I did, like, and then I got like a little finger massage.
Yeah, they tell you that there's something creepy in there. You're like, cool, I'm going to go make friends with that thing, so they knew better.
I know. I think that really set up my childhood, right? Like, they knew I was going to be a creepy kid.
Oh, that's good though. Your parents loved that. They embraced you. They knew. So
they knew.
That's good.
I think
Can't
they
ask
did.
For better parents.
Parents, please confirm.
Right. Oh my gosh. So what I have picked for us today really is one of the first scary stories that I ever remember being told. I'm not exactly sure how old I was when I first heard this story. Just in my brain, as far back as my memory goes, this is like the OG scary story. You guys are literally going to be introduced to why I'm afraid of the dark, the reason I don't let my feet hang off the edge of the bed, like AKA my OG sleep paralysis demon. We're getting personal today, so I'm excited.
Oh, I'm so excited to delve into the psyche of Alana.
Yes. So, dear listeners and lady, please raise your hand if you have heard of the Taily-Po. Anyone?
Nope.
No?
My hand is firmly seated in my lap because the Taily-Po?
The Taily-Po.
The Taily-Po. How do you spell that? So
the spelling of it does change depending on who wrote the story, but how I remember it being spelled and how I'm choosing to spell it is Taillypo.
Okay, so yeah, quite literally a Taily-Po.
Taily-Po, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, no.
I really am genuinely curious how many people have heard of this before we actually get into today's episode. So if you have never taken the time to write us before and you were thinking about doing it, this is your opportunity to break the ice. Please, I do really want to know how many people have heard of the Taily-Po, because I know it's not a popular story. It's not a popular folklore. It's not a popular legend. I don't know how it made its way from where it started all the way over to Arizona, but this is like something I heard growing up, and I'm so baffled that no one else has heard about it.
No, yeah. I've done my fair share of exploring. I've never heard of the Taily-Po. I'm so curious to see where like the origin story comes from.
Yeah, no, that's all right. If you haven't heard about it, you will definitely know about it after today's episode. So,
yes.
But before we actually get into my retelling of the scary story, I am going to give you a little bit of information on the origins and the history of the Taily-Po, because I knew you were going to ask for it, and I had it ready to go. Just a little, yes, just a little taste of that sweet context. We got to tide you over.
My delicious favorite spice.
Exactly. I'm like, I know she can't wait until the whole story, so I'll give her a little something to start out with, and then we'll talk more later.
Delicious.
So the Taily-Po is actually, and I'm probably going to say this wrong, an Appalachian cryptid. I know there's a different way to say it. Appalachian.
I've always said Appalachian, but
cool. Then we're going to say it the right way. Awesome. Then we're just going to say it the right way.
I'm not the right person to ask as a non-American, but sure, yes, Appalachian.
That's true, yeah. That's from, I heard about it from like Fallout. That's the first time I ever really heard someone say it out loud, was like, the Appalachian. So, that's what we're going with. So the Taily-Po is from the Appalachia, or the Appalachian area. And again, they're really not really as famous from some of the others from the area, like Bigfoot and Mothman, which really is a crime because it is such a unique and creepy and dare I even say fun story to tell. I really feel like it would be more popular than it is, but it's not up there with those big guys. So of course, as with most folklore stories, the details of the Taily-Po vary from person to person, region to region. So there are many different versions of this, and we are doing this in a true folklore fashion, and I am going to be the one telling you my version, my recollection of the story today. So this is not anyone else's story. It's loosely, it's just my recollection. It's based down from my own memory. So it's kind of a hodgepodge, the true folklore.
I'm excited. I'm curious about other variations. So if you have other variations of the story, listener, please let me know, because I don't know any version of this story. So I'm keen. I'm here to learn.
Right? There's so many. I do believe that the version from my memory is mainly based on a children's book, actually, written by Joanna C. Galdone, I think is how you say the last name, or Galdone. The minute I saw the cover of the book, I was like, oh, heck yeah, that is like the book I read as a child. I knew, it just unlocked that core memory for me. But even after seeing, the artwork and the cover for it, for some reason in my head, the image that I conjured of this creature is very different than how it's actually depicted in almost all of the artwork, which I think is kind of funny. Just none of the drawings or anything compare remotely to how scary the creature I concocted in my head is.
Okay.
Yeah, so that being said, I am going to make you wait until after the story to give you a full description and share photos of the Taily-Po, because I'm just nice like that. I want your brain to be able to make up the scariest thing possible to you. So you're welcome.
Okay, all right. You don't know what nightmare fuel you've conjured, ma'am. I have an iPad with Procreate on it. I will draw the amalgamation that comes into my head.
I would love it if you did. I would love to see that. Oh my gosh.
All right.
That would be great. So Joanna first cursed children with her retelling of the story in 1984, but the earliest written versions date back to the early 19th century. A story actually told by Uncle Remus, aka Joel Chandler Harris, who you might know for being an author of the Brer Rabbit stories. I did read through that version of the Taily-Po as well, and it is pretty similar, but of course it has some majorly striking differences too. On that note, I am going to make you wait until after the story to highlight the main consistent details of the stories too.
Well, so basically we're getting the whole story at the end of the story is what I'm hearing.
So I'm telling you what I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to tell you it, and then we're going to talk about what I told you. That's what's happening.
You know what? That's fair. After that fucking ride that I took you on with Bonnie and Clyde, I think this is the least you can do.
Yeah. No,
I can wait. I can wait. I'm a patient sort. I will wait.
I think I have teased you enough. So go ahead, dim your lights, grab your tea, and I'm going to grab my flashlight, and so I can get in the proper scary story mode, and we're going to get into it.
I'm so excited. I'm ready. I'm under my blanket. I'm hidden. I'm all curled up. I'm tucked in. I got my tea. Tell me a spooky story, ma'am. Tell me a spooky story.
Tell you the spooky story. All right. So, a long time ago, in a land far, far away, sat a cabin in a dark and swampy forest. Inside that cabin lived an old hunter. The hunter's cabin had only one room, and that room was his bedroom, his dining room, and his kitchen too. The hunter lived alone other than his 3 dogs. His dogs' names were, and get ready for this one, Uno, Ino, and Comtico Calico.
Excuse me?
I can definitely spell that one for you too. The dogs' names were Uno, Ino, and Comtico Calico.
I feel like there was some clear favoritism with one of these dogs. I'm not going to name any names, but I just feel that there was some dog favoritism. I'm also going to imagine that Uno and Ino are like big Dobermans, and then Comticalismo.
Yep, that's it. Yep.
Oh, sure. Yep. Comticalismo. Sure, we'll go with that. I'm imagining it as a really small dog.
Just like a little tiny terrier, the loudest one out of all of them.
It's a sausage dog, but it's got 2 big Doberman brothers. That's my canon. That's the story, and I'm sticking to it.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. I'm not gonna steer you wrong. This is folklore. Your imagination can paint this exactly however you want. So it's canon.
It's canon now.
All right. Winter was approaching in the forest, and soon food would be scarce and the days would be short. The old man set out on a hunt one cold day, hatchet in hand with his 3 hounds by his side. Unfortunately, the hunter had a bit of bad luck. He had only managed to catch a single small rabbit, and night was beginning to fall. Before starting to make his way back to his cabin, the hunter decided to stop and set a fire to roast his small supper.
I'm gonna interject really quickly here. No wonder he only caught 1 small rabbit. He only brought himself a hatchet.
He only brought a hatchet. Yeah, he's out there, like you said, just swinging at things with a hatchet.
He's wildly swinging at rabbits. It's a miracle he hit one rabbit to begin with, but sure.
I never said he was a good hunter, okay? I just said he was a hunter. I never clarified.
Fair enough. That's on me.
I don't know how he managed to feed these 3 dogs on this budget, but I hope they're doing good.
I'm sure they are. I believe. I know. When it comes to Charisma, we're doing great.
They're great. Oh my gosh. So as he sat by a fire with his 3 dogs, he heard some rustling from across the fire. His gaze was met by an oddly shaped creature with bright, fiery yellow eyes and a long tail. The man quickly went for his hatchet and swung at the creature as hard as he could. The creature let out a scream while running off into the night. The hunter only managed to get the animal's tail, but he decided to eat it anyway. The hunter cooked up his dinner before returning home to his cabin.
I'm going to emphasize what we said earlier. This is not a good hunter.
He's not the best. He's doing his best, but it's not the best.
Do not eat foreign animal, my dude. Don't do it. It's unidentified strange tail. Don't eat it.
Unidentified strange tail. Well, if you're hungry, you're hungry.
Don't eat ISTs, guys. It's just not worth it.
Oh my gosh. When he got back to his home, the man lit his fireplace to keep him warm for the night. He settled into bed and fell asleep peacefully with his belly full, listening to the cracks of the fire. The hunter was awoken to a strange noise. His eyes opened and tried to adjust to the light in the room. And when they finally did, he noticed something at the foot of his bed. Peeking up from right over the edge of the mattress were 2 yellow glowing eyes staring straight at the man.
It's Cucumber Calendar.
It's Cucumber Calendar.
It's the sausage dog.
The sausage dog. He's mad because he didn't get a bite.
Yeah, the dog's
tail.
like, I'm small, but I wanted the tail.
I'm so hungry, Master.
Master, why did you only feed me stringy rabbit? I wanted because of the spooky tail.
The spooky Oh my god. As the man lay there, trembling in fear, the creature reached out one dark, furry claw up to climb onto the bed and whispered in a terrible voice, "Taily-Po, Taily-Po, all I want is my Taily-Po."
You have not dispelled my thoughts that this is the dog. You have not changed my mind.
It's the dog. Like he like put the like fur of the rabbit on, and he's like trying to scare him to get more food.
Yeah, he's just wrapped in a really thick blanket, and he's just like, "I wanted the Taily-Po. I'm hungry, master."
Oh my god!
Smart dog, clever girl.
The hunter scrambled up out of bed and yelled up for his dogs. "Uno, Ino, and come to Cocalico!" The 3 hounds leapt up into action and chased the creature off into the darkness. The hunter calmed himself down while he waited for his dogs to return. The dogs finally returned, and the night returned to calm. The man wrapped his blanket tightly around himself. He lay there quietly, listening to the fire, until he managed to fall back to sleep again. He was awoken shortly by the sound of claws scratching at the front door. The hunter's eyes shot open, and the clawing continued. Scratch, scratch, scratch. The old man shouted out, "Who's out there at this time of night?" The horrible voice said again, "Taily-Po, Taily-Po, I'm coming to get my Taily-Po." This time, though, the man was so scared that he couldn't even stand up. He called out to his dogs from his bed, and they tore out after the creature yet again. They continued to chase the creature until the hunter could no longer see them. All was quiet yet again while the hunter waited for his dogs to return. But this time, they did not return. Somehow, the man managed to go back to sleep. The morning was closed, but it was still dark.
Doesn't care about his dogs. He deserves whatever comes after him.
He's just like, yeah, okay, they're just not coming back, whatever.
Yeah, you know, they were hard to feed. I couldn't even catch a rabbit for myself. Never mind 3 rabbits for my beautiful dogs. They're getting a better life now. Off you go.
I think they joined forces with the Taily-Po, to be honest with you.
You know what? I believe it. That sausage dog. I'm pretty sure that sausage dog was the one scratching at the door. I'm putting it out there. That sausage dog wanted that tail.
And this is actually how we're turning this into our next cult episode, is the cult of the Taily-Po. No, I'm just kidding.
What a plot twist.
Oh my gosh. The morning was close, but it was still dark. The man was still asleep until something started to howl from outside.
It's the sausage dog. It's returned.
The sausage dog. Oh my goodness. He's like, hello.
That's Kool-Aid cameo. It's back from its chase.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
No, you're so great. I love you. At first, he thought it was just the wind, but after he lay there listening for a few moments, he could make out that horrible voice yet again. You know, and I know, all I want is my Taily-Po. The old man tried to call out for his dogs. Oh no, I know, and come to Calico. But this time, the dogs didn't come. He raced outside into the moonlight and screamed for his dogs again. There was no trace of the hounds, just the man standing outside with the sound of the wind blowing around him. The hunter retreated back inside the cabin, closing and barricading the door behind him. The voice got closer and closer until he could tell it was right outside the door. The creature began to scratch at the door again, all while repeating the same dreadful phrase. The man cowered inside with nowhere to run. The creature scratched and clawed until the only thing left of the hunter and his cabin was the old chimney. Some people say when the cold wind blows on a dark winter night, if you listen carefully, you can hear a strange voice saying, Taily-Po, Taily-Po, now I've got my Taily-Po. And see.
Thank you. I'm just gonna put it. This man had a hatchet.
He did this whole time, and
this whole time. This man had a hatchet that he took the tail. That's how he got the tail in the first place, and he just forgot.
He just completely did not. He was too scared.
He was too scared.
Maybe one of the dogs took it with him when he ran out.
It's a sausage dog, I'm telling you.
The sausage dog. He's like, let me grab my hatchet. This hunter's no good with it anyway.
I'm telling you, Columbia Commandos got this. That dog is on to something.
That's so funny. Columbia Commando. That's a good one. That's a really good one.
I can't remember this dog's name for the life of me. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's great. I honestly, that dog's name is the entire reason that I remembered this story. I was laying there in bed one night and I was just like, Uno, I know, come to Calico. And I was like, wait, the Taily-Po? I just all of a sudden it just came back to me the minute that I remembered these dogs' names. So I think that there is something to that. I think the story somehow in order to be retold, it relies somewhat on these weird dogs' names, which is kind of strange, right?
I agree. And I'm gonna guess that these dog names are consistent through each story, or at least some iteration of rhyme scheme is consistent through the story.
It is, yeah. No, we will get into that in just a little bit, because there are a lot of consistencies, like you said, throughout the retellings, and the names of the dogs, not necessarily being these, but the repetition really is a huge part of the story. Mm-hmm. It's one of the main focal points.
Right. And actually, I'm going to draw my version of the Come to Go Calico while you're telling the next bit, just so that I remember my version before you tell me what the real one looks like.
Yes, please.
And I'll post this on Instagram. I'll post this.
I would love it. Yeah, no, there are a lot of different, even in my research and stuff, I saw so many different depictions of the Taily-Po that I, even some that, I didn't recognize. I'm that's what you would consider the Taily-Po? And, everyone is allowed their own, imagination. Everyone's allowed their own version of it, but, some, you have this picture in your head, and then you see it, and you're like, wow, it's crazy that that's what you thought of, and I'm all the way over here, you know?
Yeah.
But that's what makes the story so beautiful.
It really is, and I'm very curious to hear what the actual version is based on what I think it looks like. And of course,
right?
I'm gonna start right now. I will post what my version looks like, but I'm not an artist. I never am. I never will be. So please be nice to me. But it's not gonna be anything cool. But I'll try.
It's gonna be fantastic. I'm excited to see it, actually. That's actually put a little note in here later on, because not to put any pressure on Cy, but since he has done some depictions before, I'm really curious to see what he thinks of the Taily-Po too, if he ever wanted to share that with us, if he maybe was already drawing it during this episode, but no pressure whatsoever.
No. Don't worry, I'll do it in your set so you don't have to.
Perfect. All right, so yeah, it's time to get into our little bit of debrief time, talking about the story a little bit more.
Ooh.
So, despite this version of the story being a quote-unquote children's story, I don't necessarily recommend sharing it with your children, like, unless, of course, like, you hate the fact that they just, like, sleep soundly through the night. If you hate a good night's sleep, here is the fix for you. Otherwise, maybe I would save this one for then when they're just, like, a little bit older, because I think it is really creepy for kids. I think it does kind of, like, leaving it up to your imagination, like, they just conjure up some terrible nightmare fuel.
Yeah, I can see why.
I think it's hard. And like I said, this was like the reason why I could not let like my feet hang over like the edge of the bed at night as even a child. Even now, I like imagine like the little Taily-Po claw grabbing my foot and being like, give me my Taily-Po, even though I've never eaten a tail. I promise. Well, I've never done it.
Not that you know of.
Not that I know of. Yeah, you're right. That's true. That's a horrible thought. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You never know.
Yeah. So I am really curious, lady, what did you think of the story overall? Like, I hope I was able to creep you out with my storytelling skills just a little bit.
Well, I'm going to say that when I'm scared, I deflect to humor, and I would like to formally put towards the audience that I deflected a lot then, so I was rather spooked. It's a spooky story.
I practiced my scary voice even before telling it. I wanted to, make it as spooky as possible, because when my dad used to tell this to me, he had a pretty horrible voice that he put on for the Taily-Po as well, and I think that also adds to it.
Yeah, you'll see my iteration before everybody else, what I draw as what I think it looks like, and I think you'll understand why I'm like sufficiently creeped, because mine, I'm just looking at it now. It's fucking nightmare fuel.
Oh, I'm really excited to see it then, because everyone has their own version of spooky. So yeah, that'll be fun to see.
Yeah,
and even this is the first time I've really gotten to go into like full blown story mode for the podcast. So I really enjoyed it. It was not only fun to write, but I did really have a fun time telling it. So
I think we need more like proper like spooky scary stories. We don't have enough like just good old fashioned spooks. So thank you for telling me. Thank you for...
Yeah. I'm very happy to do it. I'm happy to add our first like actual spooky story to the archive, because I think we needed it. I think we've had a lot of stuff based in history. We've gotten a lot of, really good stories that, like you said, take place in reality. But just this one is a good, just like actual true folklore. Like we got to make fun of it a little bit. And now I get to tell you more about it.
Yes, please. Tell me the context. Tell me the story.
Yes.
Tell me about your boy.
So, most of the time, the Taily-Po is usually depicted to be about the size of a dog, with pointy ears and a long tail. Is that consistent with what you imagined?
Mine was a little... Well, I guess what size dog? Because dogs come in lots of different sizes.
That's true. From my sources, it really just said, like, medium-sized dog. So, it wasn't, like, super specific. Yeah, but also there's a lot of pictures of it that kind of look like a cat, like a larger cat. So I would say like a medium-sized dog, like a 100-pound dog.
Yeah, I would say that's consistent with what I was thinking. I was thinking something that kind of skittered along the ground, kind of. Yeah, like almost like a lizard size, but like a big lizard, like a monitor lizard.
Like a little bit lizard. Yeah. Okay, so around that, like you said. It is usually said to have either red or yellow eyes, just depending on the storyteller. Mm-hmm. The Taily-Po is always usually nocturnal, and usually depicted with dark black fur. Okay. Its main defense is its razor-sharp claws, and it speaks English as it demands the return of its tail through its creepy and repetitive little phrases. I think that also speaks to like the repetition of the story. Like, it has the dogs, and he calls out for the dogs. You say the names of the dogs several times, and you also say, the Taily-Po phrase, Taily-Po, Taily-Po, I'm coming to get my Taily-Po. Like, it always repeats the repetition of threes. Like, I think that really does have such a strong sense in the story of just why it is carried on, because it's just so fun to say. It's so fun to tell.
It is. Yeah, I would agree.
But I know I did kind of make this sound, like, at the beginning, like it was more of, like, a true cryptid. Like, throughout the last one I teased about it, I'm like, this is, like, a cryptid. But the Taily-Po, like, compared to creatures like the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot, like, the Taily-Po really does fall more under, like, folklore than cryptid, because there's no sightings of the Taily-Po. No one's out there looking for this thing. Like, it really is just a famously scary parable that's been passed down from generation to generation. Like, So it's a lot different in that regard, because there's not any, like I said, there's nothing based in reality for this one. It is completely mythical. It is just a fun little story. And some people really do think its main purpose originally was to teach kids not to steal or abuse animals. Like you see it a lot with little kids. Like, that's when they reach out to touch animals. If the animal runs away, they grab its tail. And so this, I feel like, was a story to teach kids, like, don't do that, because the animal will come back and get you. Like, it's just a scary story to teach kids some lesson in some way or another. So hence the reason it is labeled as a children's story, I suppose. Though besides Joanna and Uncle Remus, a lot of storytellers have taken their crack at this one over the years. There are really so many versions of the story that it is impossible to say who the original version of it belongs to. The Taily-Po has been depicted in books, blogs, comics, movies, you name it. I even read a version of this in my research. It was very interesting. It was told from the Taily-Po's perspective.
Oh.
That one was really interesting. I've never seen a story flipped in this regard and told from the view of the creature. And it was really interesting to kind of get inside the head of the Taily-Po. I don't know, I never even thought to go there. So the fact that someone else took the time to write out an entire story, it was really interesting. And I'm going to link that one too in my sources, because I just think that one was really interesting and fun to read.
No, I'm excited because I've got my horrendous version that I'm drawing now. Actually, I'm going to send it to you because I'm done. So before we get any further, I'm going to send you.
All right, so let me see your lovely depiction of this, because it is, there's no right or wrong. It's all up to imagination.
All right, here's the cursed image that I drew, and I'll post this on Instagram so you guys can see. But I'm going to show it to Alana. There's
oh my
what
gosh.
I
That, oh my gosh, yes. Like you said, just I don't even know the right word, just the vagueness, you know what I mean? I never, it never had a full body for me. It was just this creepy enigma in my brain. That's very accurate. That creepy little smile, the 3 little eyes. Oh god, I don't like that. I don't like that.
I realized after I sent it to you, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I've just sent you a fucking worm on a string with arms.
Oh my god, it literally is a haunted worm on a string.
Sent you a haunted worm on a string.
Oh my gosh.
I'll post
How do we make merch of this? I want my own. I'm gonna buy a worm on a string and some black spray paint, get some little googly eyes and some teeth, and I'm gonna make my own.
Oh my god! So there you go. Oh, this will be on Instagram. This cursed drawing that I drew.
I hate it. Thanks, I hate it.
Taily-Po.
Oh, can't you picture it? Yeah, that's just, it nailed it. You nailed it. You did a good job.
It has to be smiling too. I feel like it has this smiley, toothy grin.
It's so funny you say that, because in every picture it absolutely is. I didn't even note that. I didn't even pick up on that myself, but it does always have almost a Cheshire cat shit-eating grin on its face. It's a very creepy smile.
Yeah. So
no, it's so funny that everyone pictures that. That's crazy. That's crazy.
So it sounds like I hit the nail on the head. Woo!
You did. Wow. No, that's wild. You really did do a fantastic job with that.
Thank you. I appreciate
almost
it.
Too good.
I'm
not thinking my nightmares tonight.
You will. This is your new version of a Taily-Po. It's this horrible thing that I drew.
Just needed to revive it for my adult nightmares. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
This episode is a bad idea, I think. Oh my god.
If anything, it's been arts and crafts with Spookery.
Arts and crafts with Spookery. And next week we'll show you how to make your own version of the Taily-Po.
I would say next week is mass murder.
Oh,
so next week we'll show you how to commit an entire mass murder.
Oh my gosh.
No. Oh god.
Those are the things you learn in Spookery.
Yeah. You learn about the Taily-Po and then... All right, so tell me about this spooky thing on a string.
But yeah, with the Taily-Po, there are really so many versions of the story that it is impossible to say who it belongs to. The Taily-Po has been depicted in books, blogs, I think I already read all this, books, blogs, comics, movies, and you name it. Just all over media, people have just taken a crack at this thing, wanting to put their own unique stamp on the story. But the original variations of the legend usually all contain similar elements. The main theme of the story always revolves around theft and revenge, but the details about the hunter, his dogs, and the Taily-Po all vary from retelling to retelling. So the hungry man hunting for food by his old cabin is a constant. It's usually always taking place in the middle of the woods. There's this old man hunting for food. That's just usually how all the stories start. But his weapon of choice, kind of how you pointed out, it does range a bit, because I think a lot of people are very unsatisfied with the hatchet. So it does range from a hatchet all the way to a rifle. He is given all sorts of different weapons and stuff like that, because I think it really speaks to his incompetence as a hunter, with him just running out there just trying to swing at things. So people kind of make him sound a little bit better and give him a rifle or some other weapons.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I totally think that's fair. And some of the stories too, like he's even named, like I'm trying to think of one of the stories. I think he's called like Old Man Fletcher. Like he's given names in some of these. I just went with he's Old Man Hunter. Like that's his name.
No, well, actually, see, it's interesting that you said Fletcher, because immediately when I was agreeing with you, I was like, how incompetent. He just went into a woods, started swinging a hatchet. But then my brain was like, well, there's actually a different kind of hunter, which is a trapper. And so maybe instead of, he's going out and like, I'm assuming not just throwing hatchets at rabbits and hoping that they hit.
But he's like setting traps here and there.
But if he was a Fletcher means that they're whittling wood. So they're creating traps. He's trapping his environment. But that means that he's not got a physical prowess to him. So, you also mentioned that he's an older gentleman. So maybe he's really... He's better at scheming, but he's not physically up to the task. So the hatchet is just to kill the thing that he traps, but that's not a method that he's not strong enough to wield it. We're creating Taily-Po lore.
We are. I never thought about that, but yeah, and like you said, I've seen that name, Old Man Fletcher, and a lot of things, and that's funny that a Fletcher is. I never knew that.
Yeah, it's fletching specifically. I think was like to like create arrows. Like you would carve like arrows, you whittle arrows out of like sticks. That would be like the act of fletching. But like if he was a trapper, if he was making like stick traps and nets, and he was more used to setting traps for himself, then of course when this horrible nightmare amalgamation with just this black worm on a string just kind of came out of the darkness, of course he's not going to be able to defend himself because he hasn't prepared. If he was given, of course, when his dogs went missing, I probably would have been like, that's the red flag where you start like booby trapping your house.
Absolutely.
But it's also, if he's an older gentleman, if he's used to creating traps and waiting, he's not used to being the thing in the trap. Suddenly his cabin becomes the trap. And he's just waiting for this slithery creature to get in.
That is such a different, you're adding so much to the story by pointing out just like this really small detail that I had really never considered. Like it really does give so much lore to the Taily-Po, like you said, of this man who really is just like the victim of the Taily-Po at the end of the day. Like that's his role in the story is just to be the victim of the Taily-Po. But to learn more about him, like you said, not really like think of him as like this incompetent, like he's just this old man out there, like you said, who's just physically incapable, but he has the skills, he has the knowledge. That's probably why he has 3 hunting dogs, is like they probably go out and do a lot of the hard work for him too.
They're the physical labor, whereas if he's an older gentleman, I think you even called him an old man at the end of your story. It's like that indicates to me that he hasn't got the physical prowess. Maybe there's like he's lost like physical. Maybe he can't see properly. Like he's not in his peak physical form anymore. He relies on these tools, and suddenly their tools it's something he can't even see it. It's just this creature, and it's fast, and it can speak, and it's taunting him.
And that makes it so much scarier that it's attacking a poor, defenseless old man.
But I want to point this out, because I thought about this recently, and it's kind of funny. It's like, what makes a good horror story? And it's, what is the purpose of the horror story? And if it's a children's story to warn children away from something, it has to be a preventable measure. So you have to make your character foolish in a way. You're like, don't be like Old Man Fletcher. He was a foolish man, and he got eaten by this worm on a string. Yeah. But if you're telling a horror story, then it's inevitability. There's nothing you can do about it.
Like you said, he was literally, from the minute that like they crossed paths, he pretty much was like trapped.
Yeah,
in, like his own cabin became the trap, which is like so ironic and adds like such a different layer to the story. I really like that.
So there you go. It's depending on how you tell your version of the Taily-Po, whether it's a cautionary tale to tell children, like, oh, don't be like that. That's avoidable. And like if you get into that situation, it's your fault. Versus, here's this thing, and it slithers between trees, and it hides in your periphery, and as soon as you step onto its tail, as soon as that thing slithers across your path, you're done. It's got your scent, and it's coming for you. And the fact that it can speak as well, it's always pictured with this Cheshire-like grin. It's like, then it's almost like, it's not even killing for food, it's killing for sport at that point, where the killing is comical.
Right, so, and I mean, like, the part that always really did bother me, and that kind of, like, touches on it, is, like, I mean, the man ate his tail already. Like, is he really gonna, like, he's digested the tail. Like, it's in his belly. You can't even, like, you're an animal. You're gonna reattach your tail, dude? Like, you got the tail back, but at what cost? Like, it's not gonna be any use to you. So, like, that detail did bother me as a kid, because it literally is, like, it is just revenge. Like, there's no point to it. It is just, like, a revenge killing. And that's kind of, like, morbid for a kid's story. It's just like, yep, you make one mistake, and that's it. You're done. Like, that's
I I have like a really weird anecdote for you for this, and I think I've heard a version of this story.
Really?
But it wasn't a tale. And I think that's what really threw me off. And as soon as the story ended, I was like, I know this story.
Really? Okay.
But I can't remember the details because, of course, I think I heard this when I was a child, and then I didn't have the fun, whimsical naming of the dogs in my story. So the story has like repressed itself into my spookery vault that is my brain. But my version of the story, I think it was like a dare. And it was a group of teenagers, if I remember correctly. It was a group of kids. It was like there were multiple, I guess, foolhardy characters if it was a cautionary tale. But it wasn't a tale, it was a toe.
Oh.
And it was this, and I can't remember if it was like, it was a corpse toe or a giant's toe, or it was some sort of supernatural creature's toe. And it was consumed. And I remember the story going like, you ate my toe, give me back my toe. But they've already eaten it, so they can't give it back. And that was the desperation of the story, was like, I've already done the irreversible. I've digested this thing that it wants.
Yeah.
And I can't give it back.
How do I remedy this?
And it's this helpless situation where it only wants one thing. And I can't give that to you, but that's the version that I remember. But I don't remember like the specifics, and maybe that's the thing is it's like this common folklore. But for you, the way that it traveled, it became this tail creature, and I for me it was a toe, and maybe for someone else it was a finger, and it's like or maybe it was like a liver.
But that's like truly. That's the beauty of the folklore, right? It's like everyone gets to take whatever organ they choose when they tell this story. It's totally up to them.
Yeah, and it's so weird that you've pulled this core memory out of me, and I'm like, I do know this story, but not your version of the story. There were no dogs.
Yeah.
I think it was just like a group of teenagers. Like they had been dared to do something. They went into this house. They did this thing. Like they ate, I think it was either a pickled toe or it was this like frozen toe, or it was preserved some way, but one of them ate it. And it was just this helplessness.
We need to find this story. We need to touch on this on the recap episode and tell this troubling toe story. I'd like to know it.
Toe facts.
Oh my gosh.
We didn't get the feet cult, so we're going to talk about toe cryptids.
Oh my gosh, it all comes back full circle.
It's all connected.
That is wild, though. That is really cool, though, that it is, like you said, it's kind of the same and similar, but like at the same time very different. It has the same themes, and it really shows that like I think at the end of the day is kind of, I don't know how that one necessarily, because it is a helpless situation, but it's like, I guess to teach a message, like don't make irreversible mistakes. You can't go back.
I think the message was don't eat weird things.
Yeah, like you don't ingest weird things, which is also a great message for children. So I mean, like it has its place in history. Like I love that.
It's so bizarre. It's like different manifestations. We have very different childhoods, but different manifestations of the same story. I wonder. I gotta go like talk to someone. Like, where do I know this story from? Who told me the story? Oh
my gosh, go consult some family and just be like, all right, guys.
I gotta go to Spookery Dad and be like, hey, did you tell me the story, Spookery Dad?
I hope he sheds some light and gives you some answer, because now I'm really interested. I'm gonna be seriously Googling this toe story.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
Interested in it.
And of course, Spookery listener, if you know a similar kind of story, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear if you knew someone who ate someone's liver or a finger or strands of hair, heaven forbid. But I mean, how many appendages are edible but shouldn't be?
Right? One of the things that was even compared, as I was doing the research too, like I think it was, you've heard of maybe the movie called like The Monkey's Arm, I think that's what it is, or The Monkey's Paw. That's a monkey's paw?
Yes, a monkey's paw. Be careful what you wish for. Yes,
and this was like kind of, I guess, somehow related to that, which I didn't necessarily see the striking resemblance too much, but
because the monkey paw,
everyone gets different things from these.
A monkey paw I think it's specifically 3 wishes. It's close to that genie story, but I think it was however many fingers were on the paw, and like when you made the wish, a finger would curl.
Yeah,
but the wish would always manifest in a way that you didn't want.
Yes. Yeah, it was just it compared like kind of loosely to that of just like having to do with some sort of like an animal's like appendage.
Yeah,
and like
I don't like
folklore.
that.
I didn't really. That's why I didn't include it in like my sources per se. But like I thought it was like a loose. I'm just like I do see like similar themes being repeated throughout history, but it is just changed. Like people add and embellish however they need to.
I guess, I mean, I guess all folklore has a common thread of caution.
Right.
Whether it's like, don't go here, don't be there, don't do this, don't be this person, don't cross this, don't. Mm-hmm. Like, every horror story has a moment of caution, and it's whatever it is, like, whether that is like a precautionary thing or it's a don't give up sort of caution.
Absolutely. No, that's a very good way to put it. And this story definitely is just a cautionary tale for children. Like, it's just been told so many different ways. And one of the things I actually did wrote down, I was trying to find it, because I know we talked about it too, just in all the different retellings of it, of people putting like their own stamp on it, with the dogs' names. I was trying to find it real quick. For like the Brer Rabbit version, in that story in particular, the dogs had, you know, similar names, but it was Rambo, Bamboo, and Lambu.
Oh, okay.
So still repetitive, but completely different.
See, I'm going to be honest here. I didn't grow up with Brer Rabbit. I don't know those stories at all. The ones I had were Peter Cottontail, and those were whimsical, fun stories.
Yeah, no, I actually didn't really grow up with the Brer Rabbit stories either. I just thought it was really interesting, like, that there was even a Brer Rabbit Taily-Po story that is literally called, I think, like, the Return of Uncle Remus is, like, the book, and then it's literally called, like, the Taily-Po. It's, like, a small, because it's all shorter stories in this book, is from my understanding. I've never read one of these books, but it looks like it's all like kind of a compilation of smaller stories. And
this might be the origin of this creature.
Yeah,
and it's just kind of spiraled into its own legend.
Pretty much. Like, this is like one of the first written tellings of the story was in Brer Rabbit. It's the oldest version that you can find that's actually like a written, recorded copy of it.
How cool.
It really is. I think it's really interesting. Because I had no idea. Like, I really didn't. I thought this book that Joanna wrote, I'm like, oh, that's got to be it. That's got to be like, she heard it, and then that's like the first written of it. But it's like, no, this goes back hundreds of years. This is a pretty old, deep folklore.
And I'd love to know if this was like an oral tradition where like there was, maybe it's like a cautionary against snakes, where it's like, don't eat the snake because it's just a horrible monster, or a lizard where they drop their tails.
Yeah, absolutely. Depending on like the area you're from, like you said, like I know in Arizona we have a lot of lizards here, and that's a big thing. Like my parents were like, I know the tails will grow back on lizards, but don't like pull them off. Like don't like touch the lizard's tail. Like it is a big thing not to touch animals' tails. So I can understand that this is just probably why my parents told it to me as a kid. Honestly, it was just like, yeah, just don't touch animals' tails. Just don't do it.
Don't touch the tail. Yeah, don't do it.
Just don't do it.
Don't do it.
So another difference in the stories of like different retellings is the fate of the dogs, actually. So sometimes the dogs meet a more gruesome end, similar to the man, instead of just getting lost or fleeing in flight. In some variants, the dogs actually even chase the Taily-Po far out into a swamp before meeting their end. And I don't think we actually... I noted, actually, at the beginning of mine that it was like a forest, like a swampy forest, but I don't think I actually said that they specifically, like, drove them into a swamp. And I think some of the other stories highlight that a little bit more, and that makes it a little bit more creepy, I will say. Like after rereading some of the other stories, I'm like, I almost wish I would have talked about it, but just in my head that didn't come to mind. But it is really creepy, like reading about this like swampy area where like the Taily-Po just like pulls them out to, and then they just disappear. Like you're just like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about like this horrible creature that I've drawn. It has fur, and I didn't even consider the environment, and I was like, if this is a swamp, a furry black worm on a string is probably not ideal. And like, what if is it scaly? Is it slippery? Is it got like an amphibian skin where it's kind of like this mucousy membrane sort of thing? I just immediately imagined a fuzzy snake.
Yeah, no, I like you said, imagine fur, but I also kind of imagine like patchy, like weird, like dry fur, and then like I don't like just kind of like really old skin. Like, have you seen like dog skin before? Like kind of like that, but just like really wrinkly and like
dog skin.
Yeah, like dog skin, like underneath their fur, like it's gross. Like a bald dog. Like, oh no, I met a Pomeranian the other day with alopecia, and she was a cutie.
Oh,
but
sweet baby.
She literally looked like a little pig.
Oh, yeah, kind of like because we shave my dog's tummies because it can get hot over down in here in Florida. Oh, so like, and we have beagles. They're not long fur, but like they can get hot for them, especially because like one of them has dark fur, so we shave her tummy so she does, like, she cools off and like it's all like smooth and Yeah, but it's almost like it's like weirdly stretchy and yeah, it's got like this bounce to it. So yeah, I can kind of see that. But I also like
but like more like rugged, like very dehydrated skin, like
yeah, like a chapped skin maybe, like or
very
like
chapped,
cracked,
yes.
Like
has never used lotion in his life, like never once has even maybe it's
yeah. I personally don't lotion my dogs. I'm not that fancy, but.
Do they make lotion for dogs? I don't know. Probably.
I guess, like, when you started telling the story, I immediately imagined a forest, which I think is stupid because Arizona is not famous for its forests.
But I mean, like, I never pictured this thing, like, living around where I live either. That's the weird part is, like, I imagined it somehow is under my bed, but it isn't a forest at the same time.
Yeah, which
makes no sense.
It's like in a heavily dense wooded forest. And I personally didn't really live near forests. I'm not a forest dweller. I think I lived near one once, and that was enough for me. And like I imagined this, and like thick sticks on the ground, and this thing slithers like in logs and around like tree roots.
Yes.
But then then I started like, okay, well maybe you mentioned a swamp, and I was like, okay, well if it lives in a swamp, this thick black fur that I'm imagining doesn't quite work because. Like,
the swamp's just nearby, I guess. I don't know.
Yes, maybe it's like slippery or sticky, or it's got like this membrane kind of texture to it, where it's almost like a leech or like some sort of like eel, kind of like an eely texture, because that's a majority tail.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is I didn't think you could find a way to make this worse, and then there you go.
Whoopsie, sorry.
I really didn't think we could improve upon the scariness of this creature, and that is just absolutely horrid.
Yeah, there you go.
I hate it.
Thank you. Well, we can make it even worse if you want, and we can think about it in a desert context where it's just reptilian. Ugh. And if you're looking at my sketch, we remove the fur. It's all this black scaled, clawed thing slinking through the sand. You know, like it survives on cactus juice and these poor desert rabbits that we're apparently hunting.
Dude, that's literally a Gila monster. You're describing a Gila monster
right now.
Like, this animal does exist.
So maybe that's... well, I don't know. I've never been to Arizona, but...
Oh, these things are horrible, and they're poisonous. If they bite onto you, they don't let go, and you just sit there and die. So,
but maybe that's why this story got so big as a telling in Arizona, because you have something like this.
Oh,
and it's a cautionary tale. Don't go near those things because they're horrible.
Yeah. I mean, like, that is something I was told. Oh, if you see a Gila monster, like, just like run, like get the hell away from. Like, they're worse than rattlesnakes. Like, they're bad because they don't even warn you. Like, they're just there.
They're just there. They're just
gross, and they hiss at you.
I've never. Yeah. You'll need to send me a picture of a Gila monster because I've never seen one.
I can't believe. Yeah, they're literally called monsters, like a Gila, but it is just like it's a black and orange. Like giant lizard.
Oh, I think yeah, it's probably not the lizards I'm used to. Because I'm like you said that, and I thought of like a Komodo dragon. You know, those big nasty four-legged monster lizards.
Yeah. No, this is like it's kind of small, but like that's why you don't usually see them.
Oh, they're okay. I'm imagining like this like dog-sized lizard just like just chilling in your backyard.
No,
like hey.
Trying to find it and like compare to. I wish I could find one like with a banana for scale. Like that way you can actually.
I have it for scale. Yeah, because like I'm imagining this thing I drew in my head is bigger than my dog. It's bigger than a beagle, but it's smaller than a horse. We're playing that game. Well, I guess what would like maybe like it's larger than a skateboard, but smaller than a surfboard. What do I have that's like that size? Like I don't have a specific thing for scale. I guess like it's like 5 foot long. Oh, I don't like that. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm like I tried to give you like a scale, like so that guy's like hand is next to it. You could see it.
Oh my god.
And I'll show you like their like they're
so chubby.
They usually are, yeah.
That's adorable. Like
they look cute, but they're not.
Yeah, I can understand. Really... Yeah, the red and yellow.
It's a sign. It's like, don't touch me. I am super poisonous.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gila monsters are no joke. No. But yeah, so with all of these changes and everything, like truly with any story being told verbally, I'm sure the Taily-Po just receives embellishments that range depending on who the target audience is. You know, as we said it before, everyone is scared differently. There's no right way to scare. So, I mean, just letting your audience imagine whatever they need, it really does the trick.
Yeah. And like we've already established, there's like a variety of ways to scare. There's a variety of ways you can twist the story to scare even more. And it's a cool one where I guess I kind of knew it, but I knew a different version, but I didn't know your version, and we just kind of picked it apart, and it was a cool little adventure we went on.
Right? I actually really enjoyed that. I like the horror story. It's like tailored to your own personal little nightmares, and we got to dissect it and give it a little bit more context and lore and background, and I really appreciate expanding upon it in that way, because we got to kind of not necessarily put our stamp on the retelling of it, but just expand upon it and give the Taily-Po lore and the world of cryptids and folklore just more information, because that's really all it is. It's just like an ever-expanding library of stories. Yeah. Just like the Spookery.
And the Spookery, as its intention was always to be, it's to tell stories, it's to preserve stories, but it's also to expand upon stories. And, we'll get, I'm sure, I really hope that people will send us their own versions of this story. We're like, have you heard this story? Do you know this story? What version do you know? How does it change from where you live versus where I am, versus where Alana is? It's this, and that's kind of the cool thing about this oral tradition, is that the story will always change. And sometimes it will change for the better, and sometimes it will change for the creepy, and sometimes it will change as a cautionary tale, and sometimes it'll just be something completely different. So, yeah.
Absolutely. No, I'm very excited to see who has heard about this, how it has changed depending on where you're from in the world. I mean, this is, too, you're getting a perspective from just, someone inside the U.S. Like, in other countries, I'm sure that this tale has been embellished and changed and given so many different details just to fit the area and the region and the culture. So I'm excited. I want to hear more about it. I hope you guys enjoyed my version and retelling of this today, because it really is truly one of my personal favorites that I have held on to my entire life. And so being able to share it and pass it along, this cursed knowledge to you, I'm really happy. And I'm hoping that you get a chance to share this troubling tale with a friend or a foe of your choosing soon as well.
Yes, my family is not safe for this story. Family, I'm coming for you. Taily-Po.
Taily-Po. You have to do the scary voice. And
am I not scary enough? Should I go Taily-Po?
Just like that. Yes.
Taily-Po.
Okay. You practiced. You nailed it.
Okay. Oh, man.
I did practice my scary voice.
It was great. I loved your scary voice. I curled up into my blanket a little bit, like, ugh. So like that. That's a no from me. But ma'am, thank you for telling your little slice of personal cryptid folklore. Because man, what a cool little story, and you told it so well, and just man, thank you for the little slice of Alana history.
Yeah, like you said, it not only is a folklore from history, but it is a little bit more personal about me, which we haven't really got personal on the podcast yet. So you're learning about us, learning about the hosts of what you listen to.
Yes,
maybe it's cool, maybe it's not, maybe you don't care, but now you know it either way.
I care. So you, as an audience, don't have a say. No, I'm kidding.
That's true.
But it's kind of nice, and of course, Alana, I think I said before, we have different backgrounds, different childhoods, so we'll always interpret and process information differently, and it's a really cool thing where you can share the story and we can just expand upon it together, and look at it like in a completely different light. And I just I love it. I love it. How cool the Spookery is such a cool place to be, guys.
It really is, and I really am just like I'm so honored. Thank you for listening. Thank you for just being here for this. This was a great episode. I loved it. It means a lot to me.
Oh, of course. No, this was awesome. This was a cryptid I didn't know. It was a cryptid it awoke a core memory in me, but I didn't know this one. And the fact that you told it so well that I was able to draw it and get it kind of accurate to what you were thinking, that just goes to show how cool you told that story. So
that's such a compliment. I'm just so glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad I was able to pick yet another thing that you just hadn't heard about, because I love being able to surprise you with things. That's kind of like always my secret side goal with the Spookery, is picking things that not only I get to surprise our listeners to, but that I get to surprise you with, lady, because your reaction to things is just the best, and that's why we're here. I love getting to tell you stories.
I think you're 3 for 3, ma'am. I didn't know about the fires. I didn't know about the cult. I didn't know about the Taily-Po. And whatever the Spookery wheel gives you, I won't know about either.
I know. Yes, I was just about to say, I think we are finally around that time where it is time to spin that wheel.
Oh, we gotta get the Spookery wheel TM.
Yes, Spookery wheel TM.
Spookery wheel. Oh, man.
And
Man,
These spookery spirits have done right by me so far, so I'm really excited. Don't do me dirty now. Give me something good. Come on, spookery spirits. Mama's got to get a new pair of shoes.
You already got your new pair of shoes. You already got your cryptid.
I did. I got what I wanted. I don't even know what I'm hoping for at this point because I got what I wanted.
All right. Well, I've set up the wheel. It's ready for us. All right. I'm going to spin.
Let's
3, 2, 1, go. Woo! Oh, there it goes. Oh, it's really spinning. Ma'am.
What did I get?
Your category for your next episode is conspiracy theories.
Are you kidding? That is such a fun category, too!
Why do the spookery spirits love you so much? Why do they hate me?
This is such a good topic to get. I cannot wait.
Theories.
Guys, we're going to figure out why Avril Lavigne is fake, that she's gone.
You know that one, too? Oh, my God!
We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna get to the bottom. Is she really Avril Lavigne, or did they replace her?
Ooh.
I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. That's not the one.
Find out in 2 weeks.
Find out in 2 weeks. We'll see. I mean, you never know. But that one has always haunted me.
That one's a good one. Oh man, God, you got all the cool ones. I mean, that's not true. I got cursed objects. I got mass murder. So I guess I can't complain. But.
Dude, and you did Bonnie and Clyde. You did as you're sitting here off the cusp of a 3-parter. You're like, man, can I get a good one? I'm like, you got like the best one. What the heck are you talking about?
Man,
crazy.
It's true. I can't complain. I've got some really cool categories. I think I'm not getting the specific one that I want, and
that's fair.
And I'm just salty about it. But no, the Spooker Wheel has been kind to both of us. I think just to different degrees. I think it's played really well into our strengths. So
absolutely,
yeah.
This has been a good foot to start out the season 1, really get to just dive into stuff that we're passionate about, that we want to talk about, and we're just going to keep getting better and learning, and so the research is going to get better, the stories are going to get deeper. I'm just excited. I'm excited to continue this.
Yeah, well, speaking of continuing, I guess it's my turn to tease next week's episode, huh?
It sure is. Give us a little bit of that teaser.
Oh, a teaser. Okay, so my category that I'm complaining about / I'm dealing with mass murder coming off the tailcoats of Bonnie and Clyde. So I guess my teaser, I have 2. So my first teaser is that I have gone the polar opposite of Bonnie and Clyde. So
the polar opposite.
The polar opposite.
So it's Donnie and Blythe.
No, that's not the polar opposite. That's parallel. That's adjacent. We're going perpendicular.
I didn't understand the assignment.
Okay, and then I guess my second teaser is I have had to learn an entirely new language to understand my case. Yes,
what?
I have had to learn another language, and it's been an adventure. So when you hear my case next week, you'll know that I had to Google Translate so much of it, and if I say things funny, that's why.
Oh my gosh, no, that is some true dedication to the craft, madame. Like, I am so excited to hear your tale, and no judgment. You're going to do the best that you can, and we'll learn. It'll be a great experience. I'm excited.
Yeah, there you go. There's my teaser. It's the polar opposite of Bonnie and Clyde, and I had to learn a new language for this one. So
wow,
good luck. I hope you guys, give it a guess. If you guys want, send us an email. What do you think it is? If you've got cases that you would like us to cover, please send us a Gmail. I guess that's segueing straight into our socials.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you want to find us, you can find us pretty much anywhere at Spookery Podcast.
Yeah, you can send us a Gmail at spookerypodcast@gmail.com. We're on YouTube now. How cool.
We are. We're officially on YouTube, so go subscribe.
Go subscribe to that. It's pretty much all of our episodes are available there. You can go subscribe to the channel. It's got a cute little thing that our beautiful distributor gave to us. You've got a little visual waveline where you can, watch while you're listening to us, but we're all on there, so you can go say that it's literally Spookery Podcast. You'll find us. It's got our same logo as our cover art. And check us out.
And we just appreciate you listening. We appreciate any feedback. We definitely have some recap notes for you for that sweet recap episode, which we're very excited about.
Delicious.
If anyone has anything else to add to that, please just send us an email. We really appreciate it. Everyone has been so kind and so nice so far. Even, the few emails we've gotten, we really do appreciate them. So just thank you for taking the time.
Yeah.
And just being so kind about it.
And if you guys have extra questions that you want to ask, if me and Alana missed something that you want us to talk about, if you had a question that we didn't get to, please let us know. We will 100% 100% add it to our recap notes, and we will try and address as many as we can. I have my own questions, like, because I edit all of the episodes, and going back, I'm like, why didn't I ask this question at that time? So yeah, feel free to let us know. We've still got plenty of time before the recap is finalized, so please send us a Gmail. And if you guys are enjoying the journey so far, please think about leaving us a 5-star review.
Absolutely. It means so much. It helps the algorithm make us more discoverable, and other spooky lovers, find our podcast and give us more things to talk about. So we just appreciate you.
We appreciate you. I appreciate you, ma'am. Thank you so much for telling this amazing story. Thank you for telling me about the Taily-Po.
Absolutely. Thank you for being the best audience ever, as usual.
I'm going to have night terrors tonight. I can feel it. I'm going to be like cozy at 2 a.m. and I'm just going to hear I'm going to hear my demon in my wall that knocks, and I'm going to be like, Taily-Po.
I genuinely, after hearing this story, I feel like your eyes do, like, how your eyes play tricks on you and you kind of imagine things in the dark when they're not there. You will start to see the Taily-Po in the, the little corners of your eye as you're laying there in the dark. And you think, wait, what is that just nothing in the corner of my room? Or is that maybe the Taily-Po?
Yes, is that shadow slithering at the bottom of your bed? Is that little rustling inside your closet? Is it perhaps something with sharp teeth and a Cheshire grin? And it's coming for you. It's coming for you. Taily-Po. Taily-Po.
Oh, man. Such a fun episode today, man.
It really was. It really was. Thank you so much for telling it. Thank you guys for coming. Until next time,
stay spooky.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Taily-Po.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye, the Taily-Po. Tell me about your black fairy werewolf string. Do it. Tell me your story.